Why is internalized ableism so common? I guess you could say. I'll be answering that question along with a few others and some background. Before on this channel, I've talked about how I was and still am an internal ableist, I guess you could say. Where I don't like it when my traits are shown, but I also want to be myself. And it's led to a lot of thinking, specifically internally, on who I am and how I basically poison myself by doing things to me. So I'm going to be talking about why it's so common for disabled people or people with disabilities to have ableism internally. Because you can be outwardly ableist to people. You shouldn't, but you can be. But I guess it should start with not thinking that you're good. Society's expectations of people are to be fit, healthy, and independent. Well, having a disability is the opposite of that. A lot of times, you may not be able to be fit, or healthy, or be able to be independent. And so, your thoughts kind of lead to hate, self-hate, or hating your disability, even though it is part of you. And that ranges from annoyance at being disabled, which I think can be valid, to just full-on hate of yourself and not wanting to have anything to do with that aspect of it. Mine ranges from annoyance to, well, somewhere in between acceptance and hate, I guess you would say. I'm more so annoyed, if anything. I'm more so annoyed at myself for being annoyed by my disability, if that makes any sense. Because I can see the annoyance in others when I have to ask them to repeat stuff being hard of hearing. Or when I kind of have a outburst of childish behavior, and others, I see this look on their face, and I realize it's not funny. So I just back down and kind of beat myself up. It's really common for those that grow up in old-timey families, I guess. Families that are more conservative, I guess. Not saying that being conservative is a bad thing, or being progressive, but I think to fully live a good life, you have to have a mixture of both. I myself lead a little bit more conservative because that's what I grew up in and that's who I am. But I'm talking more so about, like, being more so tied to the old instead of going towards the new. That's what I mean, not politically. Politics are a whole different story for a lot of people. And I don't talk about that here a lot of times. But it comes from the fact that a lot of families that are more so older-timey families, a lot of times it can be more so of that notion that you have to be independent, that you shouldn't rely on others but yourself, and if you do, that's a sign of weakness, which is completely false. Having a disability is hard, and it can often feel like you're a failure. And that comes into me again with, I have a fear of failure. It's one of my greatest fears. And I hate failing to people's expectations. Educationally wise, I'm expected to be an A+ student. I am a B average student. A B+ average student, I guess. And especially with my work ethic being, I'll pick and choose my battles. Sure, I'll choose a lot of my battles that are there. Like, everything that's handed to me, I'll at least put some effort into 100%. But then there are others that I don't see that it's worth. That's the typical notion of my generation being Z. Is we don't want loyalty, and well, we don't feel like loyalty should be something that is a given. It has to be earned. We feel like we should be able to choose a lot more of our stuff instead of being told what to do. We are trying to be independent, but we're growing up in a dependent nation right now. And that specifically comes in with being disabled, as, well, the Americans with Disabilities Act started years ago. Let that, 36 years old, I mean, let that thing sink in. The ADA. I am 18. Think about that. 18 years before I was born, the Americans with Disabilities Act was founded. It's only been a relatively new thing that has really only been put in place for the next generation, which was Gen Z. We are the first full generation that gets to have these rights that weren't given necessarily before. And it comes with challenges. Because my parents are in their 50s. So they often have a specific outlook about disabled. Well, not ableistic almost, but more so specifically because I've shown an interest in this, they've kind of opened up to it and think it's awesome that I'm doing it. They're fully supportive of my dreams of doing this. But more so of the fact that they haven't really met many disabled people. And that's just a common for a lot of people. My dad grew up in a time where stuff like this wasn't common. You wouldn't openly see a disabled person walking about, typically. And if you did, it would be in one-off situations where you probably won't see them. But now, you get to see them all the time. And really, with families like these that grew up in a time and are less accepting, I guess, to people that are more different. And that goes for anything, but specifically for disabilities. It is something else. My dad doesn't like to be weak and powerless, but he is in a place where he can't really work anymore. At least not the job he was doing. So he's going for some form of disability. And he doesn't really like this part of him, because it's a sign of weakness and power, and he doesn't want to show that. My mom, on the other hand, is the same way. But they're both typically strong individuals, but over the years they've grown weaker and weaker, as you do, with age. And they always have these looks on their faces. They don't really like talking about it. For me, I'm more open to that because that's just how I have grown as a person. But showing weakness for them without having the power is it's almost like they're failing as parents, or failing in society's eyes. And that's the big part of it, is society. Internalized ableism is so common because that's what society expects. And that goes for now, even though we have all of these different things in place. Just because you speak about disabilities and are in support for people to get the support they need because they're disabled, doesn't mean if you don't want to see them out on the streets, if you don't want to see them walk around, that's part of it. And a lot of people with disabilities feel that. They get the general vibe that they are to be heard, I guess, but not seen. Typically the saying would be seen, not heard, but that's with children. A lot of people like hearing about the challenges disabled people face and how they overcame them because it's a story about overcoming your disability, but that's still ableism. Disabled people aren't here to be stories to overcoming challenges. Disabilities are a part of them, part of us. And we shouldn't just be here to overcome them, to make you feel good. We shouldn't be here because we're people. People love hearing about these stories, about hearing how these people live. But when it comes to actually seeing them in person and seeing their struggles, you feel pity and almost don't want them to be there. And even if that's not the case, disabled people still feel that. They still think that, because that's what we get through. That's what we get the general vibe. I'm Connor, and this has been Sped